Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 9 of the official South Florida Real Estate Podcast. Today, we have the biggest producer that we've ever had on the show so far. We have the one and only King Talbot Sutter and Blake, the Rainmaker Rainer. They are with Sutter and Nugent. Just to give you guys an idea, Talbot is 35. Sutter Nugent was founded 10 years ago. And in 2022, the brokerage did $850 million. What blew my mind is that that's like recruiting 20 agents a year. But guess what? They don't recruit. All right. They have this magnetic energy about the culture of the firm that they attract agents. Blake is 27 years old. You know, he has an old soul. He presents himself in a very mature manner. You would never guess that he's 27. And year to date, Blake has done about 10 million. He's on track for 20 million this year. All right. He's a, real player in the space. Remember the name, Blake, the Rainmaker Rainer. Talbot, year to date, has done about 25 million. His biggest deal ever he currently has in the pipeline. It's 30 million. All right. So without further ado, Talbot and Blake, welcome to the show.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having us. Appreciate
My pleasure. My pleasure. So I want to talk about your background. All right. How did you get into the business, and what did you have to go through growing up that was tough that really led to where you are today?
You want to go first, Blake, or?
Mine's a little bit shorter than
Ladies
yours.
First.
Let me hop in there then.
Cool.
So I got licensed back in 2007. Our family's been in it for 4 generations, so we kind of label ourselves as a 4th generation real estate firm, which we are. So my mother was born in Jupiter. I was born in Jupiter, and her father was born in West Palm, and her dad had migrated down from New York. But we got involved in real estate back with John D. MacArthur, with Lori Nugent, Jack Nugent's her father. Partnered up with, or was more of an assistant for John D. MacArthur and did a lot of his runaround work. So that's how the real estate kind of got into the bloodline there. So fast forward to 70s, father comes down from Chicago, retires early from a stock brokerage position, meets my mom, starts a real estate company up with her. Big outfit. I think they had about 700 people at one point in time, and then interest rates rose to 18%, early 90s. So they folded up shop along with a ton of other people, and we were out of the business for a while. Then 2007, I get my license. I turn 18, get involved in it, and I've always been involved in real estate. Obviously, growing up with the family, dinner tables, stories. It was in my blood. Really didn't think or try to do anything else. It's kind of like a way of life, pretty much. But we ended up working for a great company for about 2 years, and then ended up working at a larger firm. And the larger firm, I'm not going to name it, but he had a son. It was a privately owned family company. Son that him and I were like best friends, really good buddies. He went to the same school as me, the Benjamin School. A lot of people know that school from up north. And him and I came up with the concept of basically not charging people fees, lowering costs for getting younger people into the business. So that was our whole mindset of just kind of revamping the industry, because at the time every agent was 60, 70 years old. Nobody was using social media at the time. In fact, when we started using social media, everybody said it was a joke. That was back in like 2010.
Wow.
It's a kid thing, this and that. Now it's, 60% of our leads are coming through ads run online. So through Instagram and Facebook. But anyways, long story short, the son, who him and I were great buddies, died in a car accident. And pretty much at that point in time, it was like hitting a stone wall. Spoke to my dad, a couple other people, and everybody just said, listen, if it's in your gut, go ahead and start it up. That was 2013. So we started up, opened up doors in one of the worst markets probably you could open up in, and it was a grind, But
wow. Well, I
think that's a quick background right there.
There's something to be said about getting in when other people are getting out.
Yeah.
That's where the scale is. And I think that's where that's kind of the market that we're in today. There's different challenges and opportunities in this market. And I think that the people that really buckle down and decide to commit all the way are going to really reap some incredible rewards for the next 5 to 10 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Blake, what's your background?
So I was born and raised down here in South Florida. Went to school, Pope John Paul in Boca High. And I was into car sales. I was into personal training. Always wanted my real estate license.
Oh, can we pause it real quick? You got to bring that up.
Bring it up?
Yeah, yeah.
I can. There we go. Good. Can you hear me? Is it falling?
You want to be able to have the good posture when you're. You're gonna have some reels from this, man. So.
I like the bloopers.
The bloopers are fun, but yeah, we're not doing the bloopers. They do a great job editing.
Just pick off right where I left off.
Or I can just go back and say.
Start over again.
Yeah. So Blake, what's your background?
Good.
Yeah. All right. But like every episode, we have to do that at some point. So don't worry.
You jackass.
Let me know when you're ready. Okay. So Blake, what's your background?
So my background is born and raised South Florida. Went to school in Boca, Pope John Paul High School. Was in the personal training when I was at FAU. I went into exotic car sales. And then
Something doesn't sound right.
Is it the mic?
Right? Something still doesn't sound right.
It's got to be the mic then.
Try talking into Mike or Blake.
I'm not touching it
Oh, now it's working.
because I haven't touched it once.
I think it was a little tweak.
Maybe it's the cord or something.
Yeah, now it's working a lot better.
Julie, can you try on?
3 times the charm. I just got 3 times the answer to this question.
This background's gonna be engraved in my head.
Hello. Still good? Hello? All right, yeah, that sounds a lot better. It was like cutting in and out of me.
Take
3, you know?
Tell Kathy to call her.
Again, yeah.
Yeah. All right, perfect.
3 times the charm, you know?
Yeah, it is.
You're looking at me, I'm like, I'm not touching anything.
So Blake, what's your background?
So my background was I was always heavy in the sports. I was born and raised down here, played city ball, played for American Heritage, played for Pope John Paul, tore my ACL twice, lost some scholarships, went to FAU. And while I was at FAU, I became a personal trainer, did that for some time, and then I bounced into exotic car sales. So I've always been in sales, always been in commission. Where I met Gianna, who is my current wife. Well, my wife, I mean. And her cousin actually is Adriana, who's Talbot's husband. So they were always into the...
Oh, my God.
Talbot's husband.
Talbot's husband.
All right, it's Pride
I'm
Month,
sorry.
right?
I'm a little flustered right now. So they were always in real estate. And I always saw it from, I like to call it like a fishbowl effect. And I always wanted to get my license for investment purposes. So when I was doing exotic car sales, I'm like, you know what? I just don't have the passion in this anymore. I'm helping people out. Just, it's not good money. So didn't even interview any other brokerages, just joined. I think like I passed my state exam on a Monday, Tuesday started in Sutter and Nugent, hit the ground running. No training, no nothing, just threw myself into the fire. Started off in our Delray office over on West Atlantic. During that time, there was a good bunch of guys in there, good camaraderie, a lot of young blood. We fed off each other's energy. And been with the company, I would say, going on 5 years now. And happy as can be and passionate as can be.
That's awesome, man. So just to clarify, you married Talbot's wife's sister.
Cousin.
Okay.
So it's a big family on that side.
Puro Family Farms. We'll give them a shout out. The produce
Yeah.
at Publix.
Awesome.
So my wife is his wife's cousin.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Just wanted to clarify because Talbot has a wife, 3 daughters. You have a daughter yourself.
Yes, Isabella.
As of yet, Talbot does not have a husband.
No,
Just to clarify.
Not that you know of.
Not that we know of. Yes. Awesome.
Throw that one for a blooper.
So I heard this. You said, Talbot, that in 2007, you were being almost ridiculed for your ideas about social media, or people were downplaying social media at that time.
Right.
And to this day, 60% of your leads come through ads run online. Mm-hmm. Can you unpack that for me?
Yeah, I would say, going back to what you first said, with anytime you have change, what I've seen in the business and hearing from 90s, 80s, 70s, anytime like when computers came out, anytime there was change, if you didn't embrace it, you embrace it no matter what, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you get rid of it. But a lot of people fight it right off the bat, and that was the same thing with social media, Facebook and Instagram. People were against it, and it was just kind of a little kid thing or younger kid thing to do. But I looked at it and saw how many people were using it, number one, and then number two, the easiest thing to do on it is display property. People love, they love the TV shows. They love looking at nice property. So I knew it would become a big thing back then. So we kind of pushed all our efforts in that, especially when we opened up. I think a lot of people still know us today for our social media. We had like 100 groups. If you look on Facebook now, like the Realtors of Palm Beach, Realtors of Boca Raton, Open House, all those original groups are us, and there's like 20,000 members, 30,000 members. And I didn't even realize how big they had gotten until years later when we look back on it.
Those original groups were yours.
They're all
they're still ours.
What?
Yeah, there's about 35 of them or 40 that we did back in 2013. And a lot of them are, specific area, either open houses and, RAPB Realtors, Miami Realtors,
No way.
things like that, yeah.
Like every group they tell you to join as a real estate agent, they started.
That's so fascinating.
And now their machines kind of run on their own. People, post on them all the time. But we kind of doubled down our efforts on that. And then, to go even further, especially when they started allowing advertising. And like specifically now, when we have a property, we get a listing, we'll advertise it to specific areas or lists or whatever it is that we buy, put an Excel sheet together or a CSV file, and then advertise specifically to those people. And they're big lists, but they're more targeted lists to that type of property. So instead of just putting an ad in the paper like people used to do back in the day, $1,000 towards a half-page ad in the Palm Beach Post, it would go maybe to 10% of the people you could hit with that same $1,000 or less on like Facebook and Instagram towards targeted people that actually are real buyers and sellers for your property. But
so it starts with the list, then it starts with the verbiage and the targeting. How do you phrase these ads?
You keep them short and sweet. What I've kind of noticed, like less words, the better. We've tried everything. So a simple ad, obviously get your theme across, get the property message across, but the bigger the pictures, the better. And the hotter the property, the better, obviously, too. But get the message across. If it's unique, if it's waterfront, equestrian, golf, whatever it is, get that single message across and then kind of run with it. And then obviously you have your information in there, too.
That's awesome. How do you generate the targeted lists?
We buy them through different kind of avenues online and from kind of years of studying where people are coming from, talking to brokers out of state. We have really good relationships with people in California, New York, North Carolina, Illinois, Chicago specifically. But just from years of doing meetings with them, talking to them, what works, what doesn't work. Hey, what are you advertising with? And, can we jump in on that or can we get part of that list? And almost like a Christie's, James Edition, other kind of luxury international platforms.
That's awesome. So you really cut your teeth on this for a very long time.
Yeah, for a long, long time.
When did you start messing around with it in the first place?
I would say, right off the bat with the social media, but the targeted identification list probably since about 2017 really started digging into it, 2017 going into 18. And then now it's like full time. That's all we do is really, we'll do print advertising. And like Luxury Home Magazine's an amazing magazine. We advertise in the back 2 pages or back 4 pages for luxury properties, but it's a lot of the results are coming from online ads.
Now, when you say these are online, are they like Google? Are they social media?
Oh, yeah. So
Everything.
Google ads too. YouTube, obviously, you can run your ads on YouTube, but Google ads are big, with the keywords and different arenas you can advertise with Google. But now with Chat GPT, it's a big thing that we're jumping into. We brought that up probably about 4 months ago at our meeting, and everybody's like, "What the hell is he talking about?"
Now everybody's talking about it in the real estate world.
It's a game changer.
Yeah,
No, it really
Listing
is.
descriptions, it's crazy. It's better than human.
Right.
No, it really is.
And you got to, obviously look at it, read it. And I tell people, do your bullet points, make your write-up, throw it in there, see if it makes it better, read it. And worst case, it gives you good ideas,
So what did your marketing budget start with in 2017?
In 17, it wasn't much, to be honest. It was, we were looking maybe a couple $1,000, in 2013, probably a couple $1,000 a month. Maybe 17 was a couple $1,000 a month, something like that.
Cool. What did it grow into?
Now we're spending, I'd have to calculate it, but a lot. I mean, we're spending, 50 grand alone on one magazine per year. So on the online platform, probably 50 to 60 specifically on those ads. More on different, you can do a ton of different things, but more on boosted ads too. But probably about 60,000 on online ads.
That's awesome. What's the biggest lesson you learned from that?
I would say the biggest lesson is you got to pony up the money. Nobody likes to do it. And listen, we started with not a dime in our pocket in 2013. So I get it when you don't have anything, but you got to, once you do have it, don't be cheap in your head. Just say, listen, I got to lay it out front, and don't count it, but it's going to come back tenfold. Don't count it like it's coming in next month, but it's going to come back. If you just lay it out there and it's done right, it'll come back within 12 months, tenfold.
Awesome. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people who want to get into the social media space, online ads, they start out, they have some challenges, and then they quit.
I think they go too gun-ho.
Yeah.
They just start throwing money at it instead of really dialing it down and taking smaller steps. Talbot teaches all of us agents that every commission check we get, we should take about 20 to 30% of it and reinvest it into marketing the property in different avenues, and it does come back with way more ways than you can ever experience.
It's a compound effect.
Correct.
Now, how much of your marketing is also with the personal touch, like thank you cards or events for your clients, sphere of influence?
I would say it's more of I do that myself. I still handwrite letters. I still send thank yous, gift cards. Nowadays it's digital gift cards.
Yeah.
But it's a thought. You never ask anything in return, and it's a simple game of follow up. It's we have that saying, one of us is going to follow up. It's who's going to die first type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's a mind-boggling game because you think that they're going to respond right off the rip. Same thing with the print mailer. You think you're going to get a call right off the rip. It's not going to happen. But the one time it happens, it can be 2 or 3 years from now, you'll be like, all those long months of writing and stuff, it pays off because they know who you are. It's just they didn't need you right then and there until you understand that as an agent that they're not technically really ignoring you. They just don't need you right now. Then you can really focus in on the people that do actually need your help right now in this time and place.
That is so powerful. I mean, there's realtors I work with that took me 3 years because they had a relationship and then someone dropped the ball.
Of course.
And that's the same way as a realtor. If you're trying to break into a new market, you're trying to get into luxury, the higher net worth of the client, it's going to be a longer sales cycle.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot more effort. Yeah. Especially in today's market, you're having to do probably about 6 to 8 times more of the same work we've done for the same results, same pay.
True.
But it's gonna basically weed out the ones who really want it and the ones that don't.
Exactly. But the opportunities are out there. So how do you stand out as a realtor in this really competitive market that we're in?
I would say that probably the most important thing is to know your shit. Excuse my French, but know your stuff inside and out. I mean, down to a T. I mean, you got to wait, from the moment you wake up, which should be before the sun gets up. That's a rule that we have in the company. You'll wake up before the sun's up.
Nice.
Rob Thompson taught me that a long time ago, but you got to study everything every single day. If you're in a market, know everything in that market, know everything even outside the market, but know the price per square foot, know what waterfront versus waterfront new construction selling for, how much, an extra 50 feet of water frontage is going to get you versus, less 50 feet, all that stuff. So you have to be able to know it so well that people bring it up in conversation and you can chime in, and you chime in a couple times, and the next time the conversation comes up, they're going to remember that, like, hey, this kid really knew what he was talking about, and they ask you the question. That's what I started noticing once, after about a year or two of really knowing, the business and knowing information and mortgage rates and everything like that. People come to you with questions, and when that happens, that's when you're in the right spot, and then the business can come in.
That's awesome. Is that why you watch Molina Monday?
That's why I watch Molina Monday. I love Molina Monday.
That's awesome, man. Appreciate that. Now, what advice do you have for new realtors out there?
New realtors out there, I would say, obviously you got to work harder than everybody else. And, the part-time thing as a new realtor in this market is, you might as well go work at McDonald's. It's not going to work.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Very
100%.
tough. Very tough.
You got to be 150% if 100% is full-time. So you have to do that to stand out. And if you're working at a company and there's people in the office that are letting you sit open houses, and they're giving you advice, every minute of that top producer's time is, worth probably $500 to, $1,500 an hour. So appreciate it. Thank them, and the more you thank them and the more you put the effort forward, they're going to return it.
And be careful who you get your advice from, because there's so many realtors out there. All of them have some advice, but there's not too many top producing realtors.
No.
I would say the biggest thing from a new agent coming in, because I was a new agent 5 years ago, is don't do the fishbowl effect. And what I mean by that is don't try and calculate other people's commission checks. Don't look at their watches. Don't look at their cars. Focus on yourself. Don't treat it like a 9-to-5 job, because it's not. Treat it like a business. Come in, do good work, meet great people. Real estate's a contact sport, meaning the more people you talk to, the more deals going to do, the more people are going to help. And just, you don't have to spend all this money on new gadgets, new signs and stuff. I started off with expireds and FSBOs. 2 things that cost me nothing except my time. I pounded the phones. I made my first deal within the first 15 days of being a licensed real estate agent, and then did 15 deals my first year when the statistics are like 4. Still to this day, I still cold call. He basically beats it in your head. You have to cold call, and you look at all the top producers, they're all cold calling, so they're still getting out there. It's a numbers game at the end of the day, but you have to be willing to outwork not only your competition, but yourself at the end of the day, and it will come back.
Very true.
You got to treat it like a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
You're showing up at, you just got hired here, and you're showing up late, and you're leaving early, and you're, messing around the office, not, taking it serious. You're going to get fired. You're not going to just sit there and, keep getting paid. And it's the same thing. It should be the same thing in a real estate office. If you're not, putting in the hours and putting in the time, at that point, you're a liability for the company. You should be let go.
Yeah, you reap what you sow, basically.
That's awesome. I haven't heard anybody else say that owns a real estate company that it's a company rule that you have to beat the sun up. I think that is so powerful. That's a great culture.
It's simple, and it's a game changer. It changed my life for sure.
That's awesome, man.
There's some days I think I beat Talbot getting up at 4:30 in the morning, and then there's some days like I'll see an email at like 4:45, and I'm like, this guy doesn't sleep. What's he doing? I thought I was the crazy guy,
You got to get your sleep.
Yeah, sleep is important, but so is waking up early and hustling. Now, take me through a day in the life of Talbot Sutter.
Everything?
Yeah.
All right. I'd say...
and by the way, this is for all the new, medium, and experienced ninja realtors out there.
Okay. I'd say, you wake up about 4:45, 4:30. Immediately get the coffee going. Death Wish coffee, by the way. It's a great coffee, my favorite.
Death Wish.
Awesome coffee. They actually label themselves as the world's strongest coffee. That's another story. So get that going. And the first thing I do really is hop on the MLS, as sad as that seems. But I'm usually on the MLS by about 5 a.m. I have all my hot sheets set up for the different areas our offices are in, the different areas that we're doing business in, Bears Club, Admirals, or PJ National, or Old Palm, or East Boca, West Delray, all these areas. look at the new listings popping up, and once you're in the business long enough, you have probably hundreds of searches you're doing for people. So it's coming in on a daily basis of stuff you got to review. But do that till about 6, and then the next hour till about 7, I'm sending emails out, answering emails from the night before. Kids wake up, 1, 2, 3 kids now. Get them fed, get everybody dressed, ready to roll. Now we're out for school, but normally it's get them to school, and I'm usually in the office probably by about 8:30. But I've been up since 4:30. But getting to the office to start working, talking to usually touch base with all of our office managers first in every single office, kind of see what's going on, take the temperature, any issues, that type of stuff. And then normally I'm down south at least once a day. I live up in North Palm, but I'm down in Boca or down in Delray. And most recently we just opened up today, actually. We moved into El Cid, West Palm, just opened up that office, which we're really pumped about. But so I'll be bouncing, all over the place. And then, normally throughout that whole day process, it's about 100 to 150 phone calls a day, which is probably the hardest part, in my opinion. And that's agents, sellers, people threatening to sue us, or people congratulating us, or it could be a zillion different things. And then usually I'm back home by about 7, 6:30, something like that, which sucks with 3 kids. And I'm trying to get better at the balance aspect of life, which I am definitely lacking. I apologize to my kids when they watch us down the road, but I'm usually back pretty late, but play with the kids and get them to bed.
That's how you do it all.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's kind of a way of life. I couldn't really picture it any other way.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Anything you do to help you sleep at night?
You know what? Every single night, this is nuts, but I turn on either some type of. I go to Amazon Prime. I type in Universe. I've watched every single Universe alien documentary. All these just crazy banana documentaries about outer space. Really? I love it, but my blood pressure must go down about 30 points, because I'm out within 30 minutes.
It works. Yeah. Whatever works, man.
It's a calming effect, but I love space. So.
That's so cool, man. That's so cool.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, you got to ask Adriana.
So that's how you get it all done, man. That's how you get it all done. That's a pretty jam-packed schedule. And you were a former athlete.
Correct.
Right? What kind of habits have you taken with you into the business world?
A lot of consistency and a lot of discipline. I was always taught that motivation is like soap. It gets washed off and it might not be there. And then the days that you feel like giving up the most are the days that really count, where you really have to dive deep. There's days that, I'm sure everybody can contest this. You don't want to show up to work. You don't have to call that client, break that news, but it's really not that bad. And once you can get over that hurdle that, it's easier just to get it over with instead of procrastinating at it, it starts going like that compounding effect. All these great habits start forming in your life. For me, was the gym. The gym is my alone time, way to clear a head.
He's a freak in the gym.
I'll get up at 4:30 in the morning. I'll go to the gym by 4:45, 5 o'clock. I'll be there for 2 hours, clear my head, come home, and hit the ground running. And it sets the tone for the day. Instead of the day, running me, I run the day then. And there's days that I don't go to the gym in the morning, don't want to be near me, because it's like I'm off my routine. It is so who I am every single day, Monday through Sunday, going to that gym. That's honestly, I think once I focused on doing that, that's when my business really took off, because that one good habit started creating better habits, reading consistently every day, eating better, meditating, breathing, like all these things that, you could overlook, but they make small little positive adjustments in your life that folds over to business, and it's a game changer at the end of the day.
Stacking habits. When do you read?
I try to read before bed. It's a good way to unwind. It's a habit to consistently check your phone for emails and stuff, so I try to turn it off. But reading right before bed is my go-to. And that's honestly what kind of calms me down instead of alien videos, to be honest with you.
That's awesome. That's so funny. Now, Talbot, question: when you make those, 100 to 150 calls per day, how many are reactionary versus how many are intentionally scheduled?
I would say if it was about 100 calls, I'd say about 20 are ones I have to make, and about 80 are calls coming in from agents. And out of that 80, probably about 60 from agents or 40 from, sellers or agent sellers. You got to step in and diffuse situations all the time. Or office managers and such. But, yeah.
Cool. And I would say he only gets those amount of calls because he actually picks up. He actually cares as a broker. Like, you can call him at 9 o'clock at night. He'll pick up, give you an answer for a deal. Hey, how do I word this verbiage in this addendum? How do I do this? What's the legality of this? No other broker that I've heard of does what he does. And I don't even think you don't even have an assistant.
Hands on.
You don't even have an assistant either.
Yeah, and I know you do
Adriana,
that.
maybe.
Yeah, because you called me when you were with one of your agents asking some technical question about a loan product. And you were trying to teach her something about that program.
Yeah. Samantha Melise.
And is that what you do when you don't know the answer? You just reach out to somebody who you think might know the answer?
Yeah. Luckily, like you, we've kind of weeded out anybody that's not that good and kind of filed it into experts within different fields. So our call list or Rolodex of callers is like amazing. So if we have a question we can't answer, or between the attorney, lender, title, whatever it is, we can get a pretty much spot on answer when we need it.
That's awesome. Now, how does somebody break into the luxury market?
You got to get lucky. A little bit of lucky. A little bit of lucky, a little bit of talent.
I would say it's a lot of all who you know. That could definitely make it easier with the networking. You can definitely try cold calling mailers, but a lot of people are already doing that. You want to stand out on what's making you different and what value you can bring to the table that guy or girl is not bringing. And it's, a lot of times I hear stories and personally know it's all who you know. And once you get in that building, you get into that neighborhood and you start steamrolling, you start getting your name out there, and then they start seeing your postcard, your face on an open house sign. And it just, before you know it, it falls right into your lap.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
I'd say you probably, one aspect I could add to is that you need, the most important thing with luxury, I felt, beside like exposure, obviously, and everything else that goes into that, marketing, is your customer service. And we label ourselves as like white glove real estate service for those clients. And you have to do everything. I mean, when you're picking up a client that's going to look at, a couple $1 million condo, you got to have, your car's got to be steam clean. You got to be wearing, a fresh pressed white shirt with a tie, jacket, suit, whatever it is. Have Fiji water bottles in the, cup holders in the car. Make it a real amazing experience, especially if it's the first time you're meeting with them. But if you develop that type of service and then you have that relationship with them, you have the trust barrier. They're always going to be with you if you do a good job, because at the end of the day, they don't need to use you. They know if somebody's worth $500 million, they know a zillion different realtors. So why are they using you? Because you're going that extra step. Make it a whole process and really making them feel important at the end of the day, which shows you care, and then all the other stuff goes into it. But I think the service aspect is the one aspect that can't get taken away from technology or anything else. 100%. It's you and that client one-on-one, and how you're treating them.
That's awesome. Now, there's a lot of unknown variables and turbulence that can happen that are unrelated to you or the buyer, or sometimes even the seller. How do you handle those unexpected problems?
You got to be quick on your feet. You got to roll with the punches. A lot of people say, "Oh, you got to say I don't know, but I'll get you that answer." I hate when I hear that. Yeah. I don't know why, and
it's
maybe
like
that's
a cop
wrong.
out.
Yeah, but what I like are people that can roll with it, massage it a little bit, and get them that right answer. But don't say I don't know. I'll get you the right answer. Roll with it as best as you can, unless it's impossible, and then figure out that right answer. Make sure you do get it to them without them even knowing that you're going to get that to them. You've already made them feel comfortable enough past it and worked around the situation. So I'd say rolling with the punches is a very important aspect.
That's a ninja technique right there. No one on the show has said that as of yet. That is so huge, to kind of roll with the answer.
Roll with it, yeah.
I love that. I love that. And then get that answer. But they don't always have to know that you didn't know when
Right.
when he was
100%.
asked.
Right. You got to be confident, and I've heard that a lot of, especially with newer agents today. I don't know. I'll get you that answer. I don't know if they're teaching it in the course or what, but I'm like cringing when I hear that. I'm like, God,
Yeah, that's always rubbed me the wrong way too, to
Yeah.
a degree.
I don't know why.
Well, it makes your client kind of second guess, who am I working with then?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at least be like, listen, this is what I do know, okay, and then follow up with them immediately.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you have to handle it no matter what. That problem's not going to just evaporate. It's not going to go anywhere.
The follow up is like imperative too. Like you get that right answer. Don't let them know that you're, spinning your wheels, but
You
get
gotta
that right
follow
answer and give it
through.
to 'em.
I think that's very important for agents that are trying to scale and break out of where they're at right now and break into that next level.
Yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Now, what kind of advice do you have for negotiating?
Never talk first.
Ask a few questions and then let the other side talk. Both agents, buyers, and sellers, everybody loves to hear themselves talk. I mean, look at us right now.
Oh.
But when you don't, the best advice I got, one of my first listing appointments was in Marisol, and it was out of a FSBO in the Palm Beach Post. I'm sitting there calling through these FSBOs. It was somebody in Marisol back in, I don't even know if it was like 2010 or something like that. And I'm sitting there with my dad, and I was such a chicken to go on this listing appointment. I'm like, hey, would you ride with me? I need to pick your brain as I go out there. And he's like, you want me to walk to the front door with you? And I was like, yeah, come with me. And so he's walking up with me, and I'm like, what am I going to say? I didn't even know a listing, what the process was or anything like that. And he goes, he looks at me, he goes, I'm going to tell you one thing right now. And I said, what? And he goes, shut up and listen. And that, to me, is one of the best things. And I say it all the time, shut up and listen. But it's a whole mindset of like, take in more than what you're spitting out. I think that's very, very important when negotiating.
I agree. I think there's a lot of agents that can definitely talk their clients out of a deal instead of just going mute.
Show your cards. They show their clients' cards. But if I know somebody is sending me an offer on my listing, and that agent is being the politest person in the world, and thank you so much for showing. Please, let's put this deal together. Blah blah. I said, listen, I'm gonna put this guy through the ringer. I'm gonna get his client up. I'll probably get him up, 100, 200, 300 grand. You can tell right off the bat when I send an offer over. Please see attached, proof of funds, blah blah blah. Nice to meet you. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't show your cards.
Don't show your cards. Powerful.
Yeah.
Shut up and listen.
Shut up.
Powerful. Man, this is next level. This is really strategic. I love that. Awesome. I'm taking notes as we speak, and I think everybody listening out there, this is a podcast that you can rewind, you can listen to. There are so many golden nuggets that can really get you to that next level. I love that. Awesome. Now, let's get into some fun stuff. What's the craziest story of your entire real estate career?
I'd say I was thinking about this earlier too. Visually and like experience wise was probably walking into a very nice house that we had. Actually, we didn't have it listed. It was our buyer. We were showing it, and I mean, multi-million-dollar property. Listing agent was supposed to meet me there at a certain time, and I got there maybe a little bit early, and I should have texted the listing agent and said, "Hey, I'm here," but the lights were on. Everything looked like it was on. So I said, "Hey, let's walk in." My client's asking me 100 questions, so I'm like, I'm just going with it. And I walk in, and the owners of the house were in the living room having a nice time on the living room couch. Actually, yeah, full swing. That was the craziest to me. There's been some wild things, but to me, like, it was such a huge house and such a big living room that there was nowhere to hide, or you couldn't just run into the closet. It was like, oh my God, while in the foyer, I'm like, Jesus. It was. I still can picture it to this day, but that was probably one of the craziest.
So did your clients go with that house?
They did not buy that house, but we actually walked out, and I laughed. They laughed. It was kind of an icebreaker, I guess you'd call it. The owners were, I guess, mortified, but the listing agent ended up letting us in and got there about 30 minutes. We let them kind of leave, and then we went in, but it was definitely awkward.
Wow, what a great way to break the ice.
Was it offered furnished?
Came with the
Partially.
Jeez. What about you, Blake?
I don't know if I could top that one, to be
Yeah,
honest
it's
with you.
tough.
I'm still kind of processing that.
That was a good one.
That's so funny.
Nothing to that effect. Trying to think. I'm
That's a
really
good one.
stumbling. Like the one we just did, the one up in
Yeah.
Jupiter.
Nice house.
Really nice house. I've been working with the buyer for quite some time, about 4 or 5 years now. And perfect, right on the Loxahatchee River.
Great
boat
view.
lift, great 10 out of 10 house. Only flaw was this train track that happened to be probably about 50 feet away. And he's like, what's, is that an active railroad? And I'm like, no, it's, the bridge is out. It's, you don't have to worry about it. If anything, it's the palm train, bright line coming by. You won't even hear it. I think it was like a couple of days after we closed, we get a call and he's like, bright line, huh? I'm like, yeah. He goes, sounded like a freight train, 3:00 in the morning for 2 hours coming by. Sure enough, it was. It was a freight train line. So,
Toward defense, so he did love the house.
still loves it.
Has
But,
some incredible equity in it too. So,
But
we've offered him to sell it multiple times, but he wants to keep it.
so not as crazy as Talbot's, but
That was surprising.
we have some more, but
That was okay.
for another day.
That was okay.
I have to
You gotta step it up next time.
correct.
We sold a drug dealer's house one time. That
That's
was pretty
cool.
cool.
That's
That was neat. In Stewart. That just popped into my head. That was neat.
I'm sure there's a ton. If we really gave us like an hour or two, a couple of days to think of it,
Yeah.
I'm sure I can write you like a book.
You both will be back on.
That had a helicopter pad in the on the roof, Southeast St. Lucie Way. I'll never forget that.
I'm assuming it was cash.
So we were selling it. The bank had taken it over, but the former owner was a big dealer that got in trouble. But had everything set up perfect for it. Had the cart thing coming in for the boats and all that. But it was like a Miami Vice style house.
It's like almost like a movie.
Well, listen, it's the official South Florida real estate podcast. All right.
Perfect.
So those are the kind of stories that we're going to unpack. Some questions, right? Let's talk about fatherhood. Okay, you got 3 daughters. You got a daughter. How do you balance it all with business?
Well, you adapt, you overcome, you get a new form of a why, is what I call it. I come home, I see my little girl Isabella, and I see her future that basically lies in my hands. Day in and day out, everything I do is for her future. And it changes you. It makes you look at life differently. It makes you not take everything for granted, but also makes you cherish the memories. And what I mean by that is I love work. I'm very passionate about it. Sometimes I work too much. So I've had to scale back and try to make memories more family time because those memories I will never get back. Money will come and go. So that's what it is. It takes some time with your family, trying to find some balance. It's definitely a big hurdle to overcome, but once you do, you really cherish it because the first couple of years of their life is very meaningful because you're basically establishing how their life's going to turn out.
Exactly. And we do what we do to take care of our future family, of our current family. I got a baby on the way, right?
Congratulations.
And that's my why. Your daughter's your why? Or
Yeah.
do you have another why?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say to me, they're just extra motivation. I mean, you're a very motivated individual, but when you have that first kid, your motivation is like injected with freaking steroids or something. I don't know. It just goes through the roof. I mean, it's amazing. Waking up early, taking the 150 calls, whatever it is no issue because that kid and any extra kid on top of that is just more and more motivation. But I definitely need to get better at the balancing. But to me, I can't get rid of the work because I love it. And that's almost like the company to me is like a kid. Not that I would sacrifice my kids for the company, but I get them involved in it. I take them to open houses and all that. So I think the more involved I get them into it, they love it. They come to the offices. Scarlett's 4. She knows the difference between a condo and a hotel, and she's been to listing appointments. She understands the listing side and the selling side. So at 4, she's learning the ropes, and I think getting her involved is helping with that.
And to keep you young.
Keeping them separate.
Because real estate can throw a lot of curveballs at you, and you can have a lot of bad days. And coming through, your front door and seeing like your baby looking at you, and all those bad things get left at the door. And it makes you work harder at the end of the day. It makes you want to dig deep and create more for your family.
That's awesome. Now, let's talk about investing. How many of your clients are would you say, investors versus, maybe buying a second home or a primary residence?
I'd say a good portion nowadays because of, what COVID has kind of done to our market. I think we saw a lot of investors surface because of the equity that was gained. In South Florida has always been a great investment atmosphere and location. You might have to spend a little bit more, but the return is tremendous. Everybody... there's that one saying, we live where people vacation, and there's a reason why.
Safe area to put your money. I think a lot of clients have that.
You can feel it, you can touch it.
Yeah. I have, I'd say investors, but more of not big institutional investors. That we have some agents that do that, but it was really, really hot, right prior to COVID and going into it. And I think the multifamily thing has kind of slowed down a little bit. A lot of our agents were getting into, buying a duplex and living in one half, renting out the other half, or refining and doing more. But I'd say to me, it's more of like personal investors. They're sitting there, living there, making a little money when they sell it in 2 years after the tax thing. But
yeah, I would say there was a lot of investors that were going after multifamily, but I think it was the price point was under $1 million. And I think the sweet spot was $1 million to $2.5 million is where there was not a lot of fish in the pond type of thing. Not a lot of people went after it. Yeah.
Love that. Now, what are some investing opportunities that you've seen come up over the past year?
I'd say people that can identify areas that are obviously up and coming. That's a no-brainer, but really from an investment standpoint, a lot of people right now in big institutions, what I've seen are buying hotels and either condominiumizing those hotels, so converting them. That was like a big thing a while ago, back in the 90s. Or they're doing a mixed use thing where they're taking a hotel building and doing, revamping, rebuilding, whatever, high-end condos on the top 4 floors, and then the first floor they're doing like retail. So I've seen a lot of that happen. So that's more of a mixed use thing. I see a lot of value in that. Obviously, if you get the
West Palm, Delray, a lot of those opportunity zones. If you go on IMAP on the MLS, you can see the opportunity zone. There's a lot of people coming into some areas that you would have probably never expected, and that's where the deals are right now. So you just got to they're out there. You might have to look a little bit harder because so many people want to get into the game. But a lot of the things that are worth grabbing are not on the market.
It's all who you know. Moving up north too. They're pushing their money up into the north end of the county. Even Hope Sound, Stewart. Seen a lot of push up that way for people trying to capitalize on that future income or future value increase.
Yeah. So condo conversion, mixed use, retail and residential, and then the money kind of migrating up north.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the builders are going up there. That's where all the land is. That's where all the opportunities starting to surface right now as we're getting into this 6 months into this year now. So
we first put our office down in Delray like 8 years ago or something like that, and then now we're in Boca too, right around the corner from here. But the Boca and Delray market has always been, at least for the last 10 years of like studying it intimately, has been about 20 to 30% ahead of Gardens and Jupiter. So Boca, Delray, Gardens, Jupiter, and those are our 2 main hubs. And I've always seen it catch up, or the values increase in Jupiter Gardens, catch up to that increase of what Boca and Delray were. And that's for golf communities or waterfront, not everything per se, but from a overall overlooking approach. And to me, it shows that there's still really good value up in that north end. I think a lot of people see that, and that's part of that reason.
Yeah, I agree, because the money kind of concentrates in Boca and then proliferates out, hits Delray, and then people want to go more north because it's kind of like a different lifestyle.
Right.
In Gardens to Jupiter.
and they don't know about Jupiter, but when they see it, they're like, oh my God, what's this, the safe haven?
What is
it's like
this?
incredible. Yeah. There's golfers around, like Michael Jordan's over here. It's pretty incredible. And it's more spaced out, not crazily, but it's very appealing for people with a lot of money.
Yeah, especially like primary residences, right? Second homes. From the investor perspective, I was talking to one guy yesterday, a really, really big investor in Boca, and he was telling me that basically right now, I mean, he's doing really, really big deals that are all Airbnb based because when you have a debt service coverage financing, right, the rate is always going to be a little higher than a conventional rate. And the only way that makes sense in this market is not long-term rentals. It has to be Airbnb.
That's your short-term now.
That's where the cash flow is.
Yeah.
During COVID, it was all long-term. Everybody wanted to do long-term, but you're 100% correct now.
Yeah, because you had that 2.5% interest rate.
Can't beat that rate,
Yep.
right?
Or you had like a 4.5% debt service coverage rate.
Yeah. So you're 100% correct. You're going to start seeing a lot of those deals surface now.
Yeah.
You got to be careful about the Airbnb thing too, of where you're doing it and restrictions and all that. I know the North End is pretty open for it, but is it Boca where you can't?
Boca, you can't.
You're not supposed to be doing it.
Delray, off the record, you're not really supposed to. You can get away with it, but where I've seen a lot of people do it is Fort Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, Oakland Park. They do very well down there, especially during spring break too. But it also comes with a lot of risk when spring breakers come to town. But the money is good.
What about like West Boca?
Well, it's county, so I don't want to say yes, I don't want to say no type of thing, but I'm sure there's a lot of people doing it. It's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to leave it.
That's hilarious, man. That is hilarious. Awesome. Anything else you guys would like to specifically talk about today?
I don't know. Any questions, Blaine?
Well, you kind of asked us a little about us. What from the mortgage world? How would you advise people that are listening, other agents on? We mentioned the rates in COVID. To today's rates. How would you advise realtors on how to handle their clients to say, hey, I'm going to wait for the market to crash, and I'm just not going to buy. Rates are too high. When we know every day is a great day to buy. It might not be great for you right now, but people start buying, deals are still closing every single day. So how would you handle that or tell an agent, hey, this is how you should handle the client and kind of educate them in a way to say, hey, the house is the house. You can always refinance.
Man, that is such a great question because so many times our clients don't get their data from economists that have a proven track record of successful forecasting. They get their data from the news. They get their data from companies that make money off of fear. And so they're going into the home buying process with a lot of bullshit in their head, with a lot of negativity. And it's really just not true. I mean, in New York, right, it's really interesting how the market in like New York City is very, very correlated to the stock market. It's way more volatile, the real estate market, compared to South Florida or to the Sun Belt where we are. Right, we have a market where more people moved to Florida since 2010, before COVID, so 2010 to 2019, than the entire West Coast of the United States. Wow. Then COVID happens. Then people can work remote, and it just starts accelerating on a whole new level. All right, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing like 1,300 people move here a day. And real estate is very simple. It's about supply and demand and migration. And the other thing you always hear, location.
100%.
We have all three of those. We have all three, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Now, from an inventory perspective, South Florida is very interesting because it's very hard to build anything for less than $1 million. If you want to build something for $300,000, $400,000, you have to go to Palm Bay.
100%. Or the dirt alone can cost you a couple million.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were lucky enough to buy some land in Port St. Lucie 3 years ago.
And you're just sitting on it, yeah.
If you want to build something now, I mean, you got to go like more north than Port St. Lucie.
Yeah. Not even that. The labor's up, supplies is up. It's it's the cost of living's gone up. But the quality, like you said, the location wise, cosmetically, house you could rebuild 1,000 times. But I can't move this building and put it here.
Exactly.
At the end of the day.
Exactly. And if you look at a map of South Florida and you see how much land is environmentally protected, that's why I'm so long on the market down here. And the most consistent thing I've heard for the 7 years that I've been doing mortgages, right? I'm 25. I got in when I was like 18. I've been hearing people say, ever since I was 18, I'm just going to wait for the market to crash.
They're probably still waiting.
And they're still waiting.
Yeah.
And now
Can't time it.
they don't qualify anymore.
No.
Now they need to get another cosigner or 2 cosigners or 3 cosigners.
Right.
We live in the Airbnb capital of America. Okay. We live in a place where people are moving in droves. It's like a snowball effect. And it doesn't matter what interest rates are doing, right? If you look at Florida real estate going all the way back to the 50s, right? Or let's say the 80s when rates were 18%. In the past 9 recessions, okay, only one you saw real estate go down. That was in 2008. And that was because the Dodd-Frank Act did not come out yet. That's because we had 5 times more inventory, okay? Today, the inventory levels are literally, okay, we got 5 minutes left. The inventory levels are literally 5 to 6 times less than 2008. But delinquency rates on mortgages are at a 23-year low.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Foreclosures are
Right.
10 times
That kind
like
of goes
not as
back
much.
to what he was saying too. Is when clients tell me that, I watched a really interesting video. The CEO of Toll Brothers was talking, and he said that interest rates of inventory right now is low. You know, no matter what anybody can say what they want, inventory is low. I don't care if you look at chart rates or what, but it's low because there's more buyers for every single house that's out there. There's still, if a house is priced well, there's still a fight to get
Multiple
that
offers,
house.
yeah.
So because of that, and that is caused by these high interest rates now, or high, you know, medium interest rates, whatever you want to call them. People are locked in at such a low basis of 3 points or 2.5 or whatever it is. They have nowhere to go, and they have no incentive to move because they can't carry that rate with them to a new house. So them not moving and the little bit of inventory coming on is causing that shortage. So from a buyer standpoint, if that interest rate goes up, that's going to be less people moving. So it's going to be harder for you to get a house, obviously, and you're not going to want to get it because interest rates. And if it goes down anymore, it's going to be the opposite effect. So no matter what, there's different ways to look at each situation. But that was kind of interesting to me. I'm like, these people, it's true. They're not moving. That's part of that inventory shortage because they're locked in at such a low rate. Why should they move? Where do I go? You know, so that's why the inventory is low.
And we had low inventory before COVID.
Correct.
And then when COVID happened, today, 80% of people with a mortgage have a mortgage that starts with a 2, a 3, or a 4.
Correct.
When the national average is like 6, in the 6s right now.
Yeah.
But if you go back to, like I was saying, the 80s, rates were about 18%. The national average interest rate over the past 20 to 30 years is 8%. Anything below that is a below market rate. All right. So that's what I would say, you know, to that individual. And it's important that we got to get equipped with the data because as an investor, I own a triplex in West Palm, right? I live in one unit with my wife, rent out the other 2. I'm looking for data that would suggest that home values are going down because I was not old enough to take advantage of 2008 and home values in 2009, 10, 11, 12. You know, I just couldn't. I was in like high school or something, or middle school or whatever.
6th grade.
Right?
6th or 7th grade.
I would love to take advantage of a good housing crash, but I just don't see the data. When you dissect the data, it actually points to extreme price stability.
I think a lot of people, they
That's what it
wait,
feels like.
then buy real estate when you're supposed to buy real estate, then wait.
Yeah. I mean, just to give you an example, the U.S. for real estate across the nation is down like 1%. West Palm Beach is up 8%. Boca's up 12. Wellington's up 11. Deerfield is up 21. Florida is up 4.5.
It's amazing.
We're so lucky to live here. Don't get me started. All right, ladies and gentlemen. But without further ado, Talbot and Blake, thank you so much for being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
again, my name is Christopher Molina. I'm the president of mortgage sales here at One Stop Mortgage, also the senior loan advisor. We are known for having access to the best rates on the market. Average clear to close is 6 days. Also, I have a private appraisal panel that I handpicked to make sure that we don't have appraisal issues. So if you need anything whatsoever, buy, refinance, give me a call, 561-801-0260. You can follow me on Instagram at cmolina10x or email me, chris@onestopmortgage.us. Blake, where can people find you?
Instagram, it's going to be Blake B. Rayner.
Awesome. And Talbot?
Same thing, Sutter, R.E.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you for coming. We got to do this again. You guys have an amazing day.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for having
Take
us.
care.